Okay, I think we are good to go, but let me just check once. Hmm. We are on. So,
Okay.
so welcome, guys. Welcome to Wired with Cap in my channel, Captain Peroxide, and this is going to be my first interview, and it's with one of my friends.
My
So,
friend.
uh, did you open it?
You
Okay, okay, fine.
know?
Uh, so yeah, so it's going to be with one of my friends, Soham Sengupta, and he is a very passionate debater. He has won a lot of trophies, which like the number is so big that it's very hard to remember. But what I remember is that he has won the Clifford Hicks Memorial Debate, which is kind of a national debate. And what else? Could you just like tell us?
Yeah, it starts from like be it in Kolkata. It initially started from Kolkata,
Okay.
and then it went out of cities as well, out of station debates. There includes
Mhm.
be it Lucknow, the Lucknow LMB, or be it BCS Shimla, and yeah, being able to grab some trophies and best speakers and all from there. So yes,
Yeah.
that's
So actually, I have seen him debate. Then I couldn't get the opportunity to debate with him rather on stage, but then I've seen him debate, and he's currently a sociology honors in St. Xavier's, Kolkata. And so today's topic would be solution to cultural differences and living together. So here's your first question, Soham, today.
yeah.
How do you view cultural differences in today's context, like in a positive way or in a negative way? That's that's pretty much it.
Cultural difference in any context is actually being termed or rather being perceived in a wrong manner. Because I personally feel that cultural difference needs to stay. Because we have to look at cultural difference and replace that difference word with diversity. Until and unless we are able to do that, we won't be able to, because whenever we say difference, we are barring ourselves from actually growing as a society. Because in a society, what happens, there are various parts of amount, like kinds of people, there are various substratas, there are various stratifications depending upon the socio-economical strata, on the socio-economical status, only economical statuses, the cultural status. And if there is no cultural difference, rather the diversity, it will not be a society. A cultural difference lies even within a family, a very family of a nuclear family of three people. The parents may like the music of certain age and era. They may be into the literature of certain age and era. The newborn, the new person, the person of the new generation may be into the culture of the new era.
Hmm.
But we do not term that as a difference. It's more of a diversity. And that is what we should look up to. So, yes.
And so, with your experience of sociology and everything, like there's a chaotic kind of a scenario at the moment. People cannot really digest the cultural differences amongst themselves. So how do you view that? Like, what should be done in order to cure the world of such chaotic movements?
To start with, I don't have much of an experience in sociology but yes, being a student of sociology, I'll make this very clear at the very beginning. The most important thing to understand the society is observation. Being in a college, studying it, pursuing it is a different issue. If we learn to observe everything to an extent, and when I say observe, I do not mean inculcate. There lies a difference. You do not inculcate everything you observe. You observe and inculcate only the things you like. There will be things that which we will not like. There will be things that there will be cultural issues. There will be cultural practices. There will be emotional practices. There will be religious practices which we might not tend to believe in or inculcate in, but we have to observe them. We cannot say living in a society that I do not acknowledge the existence of a certain practice. We just cannot.
Hmm.
Even if, now let's take for example, not to offend anyone, what's the most worst case of, you give me an example, according to you, what would be a social practice that you do not support? Anything.
Okay. You know, anything that harms the social dignity of, huh, like, I mean, anything that creates pollution, anything that leaves the nature in some sort of a disorder. Any.
Okay, so
Huh.
let's take it, conclude it to be pollution.
Hmm.
So, in order to not rely on, not on, like, alive with something, not abide or not to like agree with something's existence, you need to, we as a society, we will first have to acknowledge its existence.
Hmm.
We cannot be down on the streets and say we don't want pollution until and unless we get out of a room and experience that there is pollution. That's the main problem. We as a society, when it comes to cultural diversity, we are so, I would rather say, happy. We feel so complete with our own culture that we are not open to the outside world.
Hmm.
We think that everything we have is the best and everything others have is not up to them. But to be very honest, when a society is formed, a culture with the various cultures, and especially being the bowl, like cultural and amalgamation bowl India is, we will first have to realize its very core, that is diversity. So acceptance is the key. Observe and accept, but do not inculcate. If
Okay.
we are able to understand these three words, I think it will, like, it has different meanings for everyone, but then these are the three key words.
Okay, so like, in a country like India, where there are so many states with different kinds of culture, with different types of heritages, do you think that we should be inculcating the culture of only our state and then observing the other states, or should we think it as a whole of like the whole culture of India?
We, irrespective of states, irrespective of even a country, if we feel, because let's take into consideration this entire procedure of westernization,
Hmm.
it's certain parts of the western culture that our society has inculcated, right? So it doesn't need a boundary. The parameters to this observation and inculcating is actually will vary from person to person. It will not be constant. It will vary according to my morals, it will vary according to my tastes, it will vary according to everything that I've learned from the very beginning. It will change from person to person. It cannot be defined for a certain society as a whole. But yes, the procedure can be that we have to be open. Like we have often, if I'm not wrong, people, rather Bengalis who stay in Kolkata, they are good. People who stay outside Kolkata or West Bengal, all over the country, Tara Provashi, they are bad. They are not to be given on the platter. But people who stay in Delhi are great again. This very division is what is causing the entire problem. We have created a difference amongst our own self when it doesn't even exist. No one cares. No one, literally, no one cares. At the end of the day, what we make out of our own life, that's exactly what matters. Where do you stay? What practice? What cultural? What religious? What books do you read? These practices do not matter. For example, I'll tell you what the most like increasing example I can think of right now is this BTS thing. Okay, this army. Okay, so in this entire thing, there lies two sorts of people. One who are totally against it, one who are totally for it. There is no in between. If someone is a BTS fan or if someone is a One Direction fan, the person be like BTS best, One Direction is best, and this has been nothing as great as it. And if someone doesn't like it, like this is the worst thing ever possible, and I haven't heard anything more is more worse than this, and this has reached the cultural nadir. That's the status. There's no in between that, okay, this is something that I personally do not have a inclination towards, but if it's making a fan base, if it has its own fandom, if it's appealing to the people, then there must be something which I am not being able to understand. And not being able to understand is not really criticizing my own self. It's very fine. If we all understand everything, then we would lack a very individualistic personality. We are not here to inculcate, understand, and like be everything and everyone. We are here to be our own selves. If we do not believe in something, it's fine. But that doesn't mean we go on criticizing the thing without. It's fine. Like আমার BTS পছন্দ না, can be. मेरे को वो अच्छा नहीं लगता, can be. It's fine. But that doesn't mean it is bad. This slight difference, I don't like it and it is bad. It starts from there.
Okay, and so coming out to be out to a very different kind of a perspective, like cultural differences has a lot of effects in our day-to-day lives, be it policies or our behavior. But then I'll like very specifically ask you, how do you think cultural differences affect the market policies and politics over a nation?
Over a what?
Over a nation, like how? Yeah,
Over a nation, it actually varies. Okay, because and I have a bit of knowledge on this because my general elective right now is mass communication.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah. So what really happens is it varies. It's not over a nation. It varies regionally, and regionally to an extent from panchayat to panchayat.
Okay.
It's not only advertising when we see a Cadbury advertisement on the TV or an Amul hoarding. It's an advertising when you go and tell your friend, dude, I've opened this new channel,
Hmm.
go and follow it. It's advertising when the local vendor, the Mudiola, to be very honest, he goes to you and says, Dada, amar kaise ke nebe? Even that is advertising. We fail to acknowledge that. Advertising works on various levels. And when it works with the culture, I'll tell you how. You see, one advertisement is made and dubbed in various languages, right?
Hmm.
But it often fails to like appeal to people. Why is it so? Because, for example, an advertisement which is substantially being made on the ideal of Bombay, let's take into consideration. Even if it's dubbed into Oshomiya, it will not really appeal to the people of Assam because the dress, the culture, the practice, the housing, these all will vary. It is not appealing. If I personally see a foreigner speaking in Bangla, it doesn't appeal to me as much as a Bengali speaking in Bangla would. It's a blatant truth. We might be in awe that, okay, wow, that person knows Bengali. Or, as a matter of fact, a foreigner hearing Spanish from a Bengali would not appeal to him as much as it would from a Spanish himself
Hmm.
or herself. So, there lies a difference.
So you're just saying that people do judge like the credibility of a person's cultural proficiency, whether he or she is native or not to that state or country.
Obviously, obviously, to the every extent.
Okay.
Now, let's take into consideration you live in a locality. ठीक है, sir. You live in your para. So, would a person of your locality, a person, just take a very simple example. You go to this person living next to your house and tell him that, dude, I need this pen from him. Be it a small pen or be it 10k rupees. I need this from you. How easily will that person give it to you? Will it be equivalent to the amount of the magnitude of ease that you will get it from a person who doesn't live near you?
Okay.
Even if that person is your friend. He's your school friend, you live in New Alipur, that person lives in Salt Lake.
Hmm.
Okay. Now what happens? You guys are meeting in school every day. But the person living next to you can butt into your home anytime and ask back for it. The person living in Salt Lake cannot. Because there lies a distance. And distance is a bar to communication. It always has been, no matter how hard we try, it will exist with all the technologies given and yet to come. It has to. So it because distance is not only a bar, it's not only a physical bar, it's a mental bar ingrained. That this person is not physically close to me. This person doesn't stay physically near to me, near to my house, near to my locality. So that creates a bar. So advertisement actually varies, depends a lot on the native person who is actually advertising. It happens in a different way on the international platforms or on the even the higher national platforms. When a multinational company sees a foreigner advertising, it makes more sense to them than a native does. So it varies from various stratas. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there lies a difference, of course, amidst all all the humanity, like all the humanity that exists in this world. Uh, there are some cultural differences, and what are the things that you think should be done by each and every government so that there is some awareness about like the cultural diversity and the need to respect each other's culture?
Cultural diversity cannot be implemented by the government, any government.
Like the
That
awareness,
will be law.
like the awareness of being like liberal to each other's views and cultures. So
The government is actually doing its part. Every government, irrespective of the political party it has been, whoever has been in power in India, has done it. Sometimes the magnitude might have varied, but they have done it. They have promoted advertisements. They have in the when it was when television did not exist. It was during the time of Indira Gandhi that the first international program with NASA was it started for the television industry to begin, and in that time came the DD news channel, that like DD channel as a whole, the DD network. It has started, the procedure has started from there, from that time. Be it development communication, be it cultural mass communication, be it anything, the government is actually doing its part. The government, if the government actually tries to enforce awareness, it will be a law. The
mm,
government is trying to build an awareness. But where we fail, especially this generation, or maybe I'm just being a bit biased, as this society as a whole, it tends to feel superiority by not agreeing to something. आमी मानी ना, हमको फर्क नहीं पड़ता, अरे ये तो it's fine. These various quotes actually is the face and the voice of the youth and our society as a whole even. Because we are too, as I told you in the very beginning, we are too engrossed with our own ambit, as in within our own circle. We either do not care to listen and try to understand what else is happening, or we do not even want to because we feel we are the best.
yeah.
So the awareness has to be on our side, on the sides of the citizens, on the sides of the people who make up the society. The government as a whole, the government body, the people within the government are a part of the society. But when the government works as a whole, the institution, it's not the part of society. It is ruling the society, it is guiding the society. Because if the government had been a society, it would have to be biased, which on the papers it is not. On the papers it is not. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. And so, since like you are majoring in sociology, so should I ask you like what are the career prospects of like taking sociology as a a career? So, what are the prospects of it in India?
It
Of
actually
course.
it varies. It varies. It varies from person to person. Now, there are many ways. You can sociology is actually a very good base for most of the things because be it especially in corporate life. Now, one of the major aims of sociology, people whoever tend to take up sociology, they have this aim for UPSC in general. Like I mean, UPSC go with sociology, but if we go beyond that, sociology is required in every essence of life because sociology essentially teaches us what the society is. Now you need that in mass communication, you need that in development mass communication, you need that in advertisement. You require that even you will require sociology is required for a clerk in the government office. The very receptionist is actually a study, a subject of sociology because that person communicates to a mass. Let's take for an example a receptionist of an hotel communicates to various stratas of the society every day, If it's a five-star hotel, they're absolutely rich. Then the people who come to work over there, the various kinds of people who come to work over there, the manager, the person who cleans the food, the person who is cooking, the head chef, people who are booking the certain conference hall for a business strategy, people who have come to stay here, people who are from a different state or a country and are here to spend a holiday. It all varies from person to person. And sociology as a whole has a lot of prospect in every line. Now, yes, sociology is not to be taken until and unless you really love the subject and the society. The main point of taking up sociology is tolerance. Because in order to know about the society, we need to be tolerant to be able to understand that. We cannot have any bar in our mentality that ना এটা भूल ओटा ठीक ये गलत है वो सही है इसने ऐसा किया था तो मैंने ऐसा करना है नो इट कैनॉट एग्जिस्ट it has to be a completely unbiased observation. And then only one can take up sociology. And then the prospects are many. So, as I told you.
So, like you said, that a basic knowledge about society and a love for society should be there for studying sociology. So, don't you think that it should be there from school, from high school? Everybody should be made to learn sociology as a subject. What do you think about that?
Exactly. Exactly. Actually, what happened, sociology was never a subject in India, especially till the 90s or 80s. It emerged much later as a subject because sociology is actually, it's very true, it should be in the classes and in the schools because it shapes the personality of an individual who in the future will shape the society. If we are not, because at the very end it really matters that how we speak, what we say, how our opinions are created, how we portray our opinions. And we need to realize all of this. Maybe not go to the entire depth of sociology because sociology varies from everything to anything. Sociology is a subject that has economics, geography, history, political science, mathematics, statistics, whatnot. But the basic concept of sociology is required because that will, as I told you, because that is what, if we have to live in a society, how can we ignore the study of a society? And we are going wrong over there. I feel so.
Yeah, like in India, we sometimes, not sometimes, we often criticize the politicians to be corrupt or undereducated or being terrorists as such. I don't want to name, but then we do complain about that. So, and in the same page of the book, we also don't want our children, we don't want our siblings to take up sociology as a subject. So don't you think that it's hypocritical at many levels?
Taking up sociology as a subject actually is not directly related to politics as of now. There are two different scenarios. People who are not taking up politics is mainly because politics से क्यों क्यों भद्र लोग हैं. That's the concept. In every middle class and upper middle class family, it's considered politics से क्यों बड़ा लोग हैं, क्यों भद्र लोग हैं. You will not be a gentleman. And who are the people who actually tend up being politicians? If you look at the graph, we're very honest. People have either been in politics, in the game of politics, they are family members. So they're already used to corruption. First, people who are extremely rich, like super rich, they keep politics in their hand to get more rich. All the Ambanis, Adnanis, and so on. Okay, like I'm not talking of the like normal rich people, super rich people. They need politics. And the third group, the super poor, the people who lie below the poverty line. They get into politics because it's one of the easiest methods to sustain. Be a cadre of a party at any level. You will get your rice, you will get the dal, you'll get the policies, you'll get a meal, you'll get a house to stay. That's all you need for living. That's the basic needs. Roti, kapda, makan. You get it. You join the politics, you get it. If nothing, you stay at the club. The various clubs being funded by the various governments, you stay at those. I'm not taking names.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
uh, yeah, and you also talked about UPSC and everything. So, what do you think is the like the effect of sociology on the administrative services in that perspective? Like, what are the topics that every administrator should know before administrating a a constituency or a block?
uh, actually, there are two levels of being an administrator in our Indian administrative service or any of the administrative bureaucracies. The first is cracking it. For cracking it, you need everything, not just sociology.
Okay.
You need everything. It's an overall knowledge of everything that you've acquired till a certain level, maybe till class 10. And these are not the ISC and CBSE syllabuses. There is no previous year's question papers gonna work. Nothing's gonna work. You just need to know in depth what you know. That's the first thing. And the second thing, the people becoming an administrator after being selected, I don't know if you're aware of it. After starting the training procedure of an administrative service, any of it, there are, and I know for the Indian Administrative Service, there it varies from department to department. For the Indian Administrative Services, there are 35 subjects which you
Okay.
need to
Okay.
cover
Mm.
on a master's degree.
Okay.
Not even not a bachelor's degree, a master's degree.
Okay.
35
Okay.
individual subjects. So when one becomes an administrator, it is expected that if the person is not way too dumb, that person is well equipped.
Mm.
That's why it is one of the most hardest exams.
Mm.
Because first we have to crack it every year for each department. It varies from department to department again, but if I take the most common one, administrative service, amongst 130 crore people, there are only 215 people being selected from the country.
Mm.
Only 215 people. And all of these 215 people are not being able to survive that tenure of training of 2.5 years. And if you do not abide, or if you fail to keep up to the norms that are required, you're out, not in the
Okay.
game.
Okay.
And it,
So there's pressure before coming to the job and also after coming to the job. So
yeah, yeah, there
yeah.
is, because an administrator personally should be into administration because of the fact that he wants to take the pressure.
Mm.
He wants it. It's yeah. Obviously, there are exceptions. Rather, the exceptions are the majority,
Mm.
unfortunately.
Mhm.
But that should be the basic notion.
Yeah.
It's not those nationalistic speeches. मैं अपना देश के लिए कुछ करना चाहता हूँ, नहीं, मैं अपना देश को कुछ करना चाहता हूँ. देश के लिए बहुत लोग कर गया, जो कर गया बहुत कुछ गलत है. It's not about making the entire country good. No personal bureaucratic officer is entitled to do so. They do not have the power, they do not have the ability. One person cannot have the ability to change an entire system at a go.
Mm.
But what really an administrator tries to focus on, I've heard this from the most successful administrators of the state and various others. Okay, so but the major aim is that they try to eradicate what is wrong in their own area to the maximum extent possible. That's it.
Okay. So start small and then grow big. Yeah.
You never grow big. That's the
Right.
point.
Okay.
We never grow administrative line. You are never growing big.
Mm.
It always gets higher with designation.
Mhm.
Maybe the pay gets higher.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The lamps are more. You get
Mm.
a hell lot of security and all. But then at the end of the day, you are always trying to bring a bunch of people together and make them work in every level, be it a SDO, BDO, and DM, or Chief Secretariat, or Principal Chief Secretariat, or Central Cabinet Secretariat, anyone. They all try to bring people of various stratas together. Because when people are brought together and they are taught something, they are rather made to understand something, then only it works as a whole. So it doesn't grow as like that. कि
Okay.
आज की আমার under একটা এত বড় জায়গা আছে, কালকে আমার under একটা এত বড় state আছে. It doesn't matter. What matters is how well the person is being able to manage it.
Okay. And asking on a personal level, like, were there any books or was there any person who may like inspired you to come to this field,
Field of
like for studying sociology, for being in the administrative service?
I am not in the administrative service, but yeah, I
Yeah,
aspire
yeah,
to.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You aspire, and that's the thing. Like,
yeah. Basically, sociology. It was taking up sociology was a total accident. I did not know what subject to take up, so I took up sociology. But yes, I do not regret it at all. And
okay,
as I went through my teacher, there was this one teacher. That person helped me know what sociology is
mm,
and helped me fall for the subject. And be it for the administrative line is my father because he's a chief secretary at IAS and he's a cabinet secretary, special secretary to the cabinet.
okay, okay,
So that's it. So I tend to grow that
yeah,
interest from the bloodline, but yes.
yeah. And so it was good talking to you. And as a last question, what are like the things that you would like to tell to the viewers up here? Like any special message or something?
Well, I am not anyone special as a whole to make a special message, but yes, the entire thing I would like to state to everyone, whoever watches this,
Mm,
is be tolerant. Be tolerant. Being tolerant is not equivalent to like tolerating everything. Being tolerant is not, I repeat, being tolerant is not equivalent to tolerating everything. But be tolerant to understand what's happening around you. Because if we are not aware of what's happening around us, we will not be able to speak up about it. We will not be able to question it. Because we often tend to, like I use this example quite often. There's this pretty often trend of people not liking sauce over pizza. Okay. So if someone says, I don't like pizza with the sauce, now our generation as a whole tends to listen to the only first part, I don't like pizza, and they jump at the person.
yeah.
The person's entire stance was that how great the pizza is and it should not be spoiled with tomato sauce. But that's missed by a mile. I'm using a very substantial example over here
Mm,
to relate to a
yeah.
very vast
Mm,
thing. But then that's the reality. We need to listen, to understand, to inculcate, to stand up against anything that's wrong. We need to observe. So that's the only thing. So yeah, all the
yeah.
best to you all.
Yeah, thank you. And then we'll be back with yet more interviews. And thank you, Soham, for coming to our channel.
Thank you
Uh,
for having me. It was a pleasure.
yeah, yeah. And that's it for today. And do like and share the video if you really do like it. And also, yeah, and subscribe to the channel.